Okay, so I think we've basically solved our seed conundrum. You can't really germinate them on unless you've got a nitrogen source. Now, as we learned from 2021, whitewood, you know, basically sawdust or something like that, normally will have a nitrogen drawdown, but when it's flooded, it doesn't seem to have a nitrogen drawdown. But unfortunately, because it's saturated, the brown rot fungi, which are strict aerobes, and most fungi, if not all fungi, are strict aerobes, cannot attack. That's why you get methanogenesis starting to happen. The methanogens take over and you get methane coming off, rather than the brown rot fungi attacking the white wood. Because you've got these two basic groups of fungi. You've got the brown rot fungi and you've got the white rot fungi. And the brown rot fungi attack the white wood, leaving the brown lignin. That's why they call the brown rot fungi, as far as I know. It's a bit like flammable and inflammable. And vice versa, the white rot fungi attack the lignin and leave the white cellulose, the heartwood, alone, sort of thing. So yeah, different. Whether there's some sort of interaction with cyanophyta that stops the brown wood being attacked by the white rot fungi, I don't know as yet. But for example, with this, if I were to put some coir or some peat or some other high nitrogen source, maybe a bit of urea formaldehyde on there or something like that, nothing would happen. Basically nothing would happen, because this is anaerobic. The brown rot fungi cannot grow in there, therefore their hyphae cannot get into the coir, cannot get into the peat, cannot get into the Smithers urea formaldehyde foam, and can't release any of that nitrogen, can't release the lignin, which is the nitrogen source. So basically nothing would happen. So it has to be somewhat aerobic sort of thing for it to work. Anyway, and as we've learned, when you release the lignin, it's a high nitrogen source. It also will have some iron in there, of course, and your little seedlings will germinate more efficiently. They'll grow faster, be more colourful, and be much darker in colour, greener in colour. Anyway, so I'm just going to pot up some more here. Just going to get my tripod ready. Try and do this for you. And we can arrange this properly. I can't look in the viewfinder too well. I'm just going to do some. Yeah, that's about it. That's what I want. I'm not that far away. Okay, hopefully that's what I want. Hopefully I'm in view. I don't know. I'll just try and look through the viewfinder from a distance and see if I'm in view. Okay, hard to tell. Okay, I'm just going to have to take pot luck, I think. Oh, I'm not on spot Cullen, hang on. Yeah, nothing worse than being... There we go. So hopefully I'm now in view. I don't know. I don't know, I can't really see. Anyway, so what we want to do is to take two pots here, and we want to take a cotton, a toilet roll, which we call down under a bog roll. Quite appropriate, isn't it, really? And we want to put it into one of these pots and push it all the way down as far as we can. If you've got the right size pot, it'd be very, there it is, flush with the base. Much easier to with this one. If I push it down in my hand, you can see that it's quite, well, it's flush with that bit of it anyway. And these will sit in water. If I leave like an inch of water in there, the water should be able to come up in these pots and soak the bog roll. And we've learned from experience that if it's quite flooded, it takes about 5 weeks for the brown rot fungi to attack the white wood. And in doing so, if you've got any brown wood around there, bark chips, coir, peat, urea formaldehyde foam, for example, urea formaldehyde foam, which is basically Smithers Oasis floral foam, which you can break up, and this is basically a slow, very slow release nitrogen source basically. But to release the nitrogen, it has to be attacked, and it has to be attacked, as well as far as we know, by the brown rot fungi. But the only way they can grow, their energy source is basically sugar, basically. So they need the white wood, the heartwood of a log or something else as their food supply, and in doing so some of their hyphae will get into other things, and the enzymes they release will break down other things as well, which will be leaving the lignin, you see, which then can be attacked by the white rot fungi, which attack lignin and leave the whitewood, you see. But if the whitewood's big, so if they work in tandem, basically nothing should be left, basically. That's what we're really saying. But anyway, stage one is to take this out beforehand and to fill the core with some of this urea formaldehyde floral foam, and you just put it down in there with your fingers. I don't know if I'm in shot or not, can't see, but you know, I thought I'd do it undercover. Try this on this glass table here, see how much weight it can take before I crack it. Oh, I reckon in 2022, Richard, you're going to crack it. Alright, if you use it that often, you're definitely going to crack it. So you push this down, and you might want to do it from both ends. So this is our Smithers Oasis floral foam, and you put as much in as you can, get it nice and flush. As I said, we're trying some of this on soil, and if you turn it over, you can see you can push it down from the other end, so you get a nice, fill it up as much as you can, like that. And then you put it into your pot, which is here. Push it down so it's nice and flush with the base, like that. And then you're going to fill the top bit with some more. Now hopefully over time, over that 4 to 5 weeks, it'll probably be faster because it won't be sitting in so much water. It will be more aerobic, and of course these organisms, these fungi, reputedly from all the books, are strict aerobes. So yeah, as I said, we're germinating seeds and getting seedlings, so it doesn't have to be too thick. As I said, we're just releasing the kraken sort of thing. Yeah, as we learned from that 1920s American journal, I think it was, of horticulture, yeah. So you put this in here as much as you can. I might try and use most of it up if I can. It doesn't have to be too thick, probably less than half an inch, I think, really. And so we're getting it in there like that. So it's still green, and it will change colour over time as the brown rot fungi get into the bog roll. They'll change it from that nice, brilliant bleached white. It'll go to that off yellow, and it will go off yellow very quickly. Like within 24-48 hours, you'll notice a complete change if you follow in my footsteps, sort of thing. Because this is underneath, you can't see it, but if you did it so you can actually see it, you'll see that there'll be like an overnight change, an overnight sensation sort of thing. It'll go from that bleached look to a off-white yellow sort of thing. Anyway, so there's one done. Now we're going to go to getting some coir. Now I think this is the coir revolution, basically. I don't think I'll put that on the table. Take your handful of coir or whatever, you will wash that out afterwards, sort of thing, and you just fill it up, basically. Do the same thing. We're going to basically be doing the same thing. Sticking in there as you do, and you push it down as much as you can. Get it nice and flush as you can. You want it to go all the way down, and in there like that. Now, as I said, the brown rot fungi will get into the white wood of the bog roll. As I said, we've worked out it takes about 5 weeks. So you don't even have to put your seeds down straight away, basically. I would say maybe wait 2 weeks to 4 weeks before you even think about putting seeds down. Because you've got to have that release of the lignin, that nice nitrogen source, so they can grow, which is why they grow bigger, faster, more colourful, they're thriftier, they've got more thrive in them, and they're dark. And the other thing, the important point, is a much darker green in colour. If you go on the BCN Alba website, look at his videos. He's got some nice videos there. All his plants, all this really dark green colour. Anyway, so we put this in here, push it down, and then we're going to cover that with some, another handful of our coir, basically, and that's all we really need, basically. And as I said, the brown rot fungus is going to get into that white wood if it's aerated. Going to get into here like that, and yeah, I should have done this in the sun, shouldn't I? Maybe I can take it down into the sun in a minute. So there we go. So we're then going to, maybe that's what I need to do, take it down in the sun sort of thing. So there we go. We've basically got 2 pots there, and I don't think you even need to put the seeds down for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Because it's aerated, it should take less than 5 weeks for the brown rot fungi to get in to the white wood. They'll get there, spores are everywhere basically. Get in there, into the white wood. That's their food source, what they use. They'll be burning that like anything. So, in case we didn't get close up before, I'll give you a close up. Oh, it's not in the sun again. Hang on. Okay, there we go. So this is urea formaldehyde fluorofoam, this is fluorofoam, and you'll get in there. This will change colour slightly. You'll notice a difference. So maybe that's when you want to put the seeds down, when you notice there's a change, and this will change. This will get quite dark, almost black, very dark brown, almost black, once it's being attacked by the brown rot fungi, which are burning up the white wood cellulose, or heartwood cellulose basically, and the extraneous hyphae are also getting into this as well. The enzymes being released will also help release the lignin, which is the nitrogen source in this, and that will help your seeds germinate and go from there. You can try it with peat, you can try it with, basically, I'm wondering whether you can try it with like things like bacon or something, or just a bit of mincemeat or something. Get a little bit of mincemeat, put it on a bog roll, you know, sit the bog roll out there for a few weeks, stick a bit of mincemeat on there, or a bit of bacon or something, or maybe even a banana skin. That goes brown, doesn't it? A banana skin. They always say putting a banana skin behind a fern, because our idea that from that late 1920s horticultural journal, magazines, well, I think they had back there in America, American one, they were saying that ferns don't grow without leaf mould. So leaf mould come off trees. See, if you haven't tuned into the other episodes, mosses, liverworts and ferns don't have any lignin in them. But leaf mould, which comes from leaves, which have a middle lamella, I think, I may have said it wrong the other day, that's where the lignin is formulated, in the middle lamella of plants sort of thing. So you've got leaves which are then rotted down to make leaf mould, but the lignin is still locked up in the leaf mould. You've got to release the lignin from the leaf mould to get the ferns to grow, because if the ferns don't have any lignin in them themselves, like mosses and liverworts, they're basically a whitewood in a way. So in other words, the falling, decaying leaves of the fern is the food source for the brown rot fungi, which will then get into the leaf mould, releasing the lignin, which will power the fern, the moss, the liverworts, blah blah blah. But anyway, that's basically one side of the coin we've done, and explains a lot why we're having this. But this is a breakdown process basically. It's breaking down the brown woods to release the lignin and some of the organic iron basically, and that grows your seedling. But we really want to get to the other stage where we're actually building up the soil, because I think the breakdown side of things comes on the end of the build up of the soil process. So you get these basically these grassland areas sort of thing. You can see there's your whitewood in your grasslands basically. I wonder if you want to try this with your pine needles. Get your bog roll and put some, cut up pine needles. Cut them up into like little 1 millimeter grid components sort of thing, and sprinkle that over your stuff and do it from there. Yeah, I need 3 sets of hands, don't I? Okay, so you might want to try that. What's his name? Not Mofo, what's his name? Begins with an M. He was doing a lot of stuff with pine needles. He might want to try that. Putting up some cut up pine needles on a bog roll and just sitting the bog roll in 1 inch or so of water, just so it gets fully saturated. So I'm pretty happy that they survived, but we're still having trouble with that whatever they're using at the commercial places. There's something in there. It's got to get onto a second leaf. I don't know if you can see that on the thing. Not having it so much on this one down here. This one seems to have stabilised quite well, but then again, there you go, starting on its second leaf down there, so that means that's taken, and that's okay. But this has got that other element that's in the WA soil sort of thing, so that's helping that one along sort of thing. But we want to, yeah, and that one down there's all right too, so I'm just hoping we're going to get a new leaf coming out. I've got a new leaf coming out of this one, if I can just move that out of the way. It's not great at the moment, but we've had some 38 and 39 degree days, so that's pretty good for what they are, and they are shop boughts, and we just shove them in. But we want to try and go to the next stages where we see this is basically static. There's a bit of methane coming off now because the brown rot fungi can't actually attack the whitewood there, so it's gone into the methanogenesis pathway. And so this is just ticking over basically, getting most of its stuff from the sunlight basically. It's gone back to being a plant basically, rather than a carnivorous plant sort of thing. And we want to go to the next stage is, instead of using the breakdown of the brown woods, releasing the lignin from the brown wood components and things like that, pine needles, coir, peat, urea formaldehyde, things like that, we want to go to building up the soil, which gets to that stage where you build up from your sand plain into your heath and everything like that, and you build up the soil, and that's when it starts to break down and allows you seed germination. So we've just separated it into 2 parts basically, seeds on one side, and we want to do the next stage, which is building up the soil, which is where you're going to get your big growth from. That's why the plants grow out in the real world so much bigger and faster and more colourful. So we want to try and get into that, building up a sand plain into a heath sort of thing, into like a moorish heath sort of thing, just keep building up the soil. So we're going to try that in the next couple of days. There, a bucket of sand that's not stagnant, but it's got a small hole in there, so you've got some flowage of water in there, and we're going to cap it with some formula and see if we can stand back and watch it go from basically almost like a bucket of sand into building up its own ecosystem in there, going from a sand plain into a heathland sort of complex, and putting some plants in and seeing if they grow much better after nearly 50 years of soul-destroying, back-breaking work of getting to this stage where we are starting to figure things out now and explain a lot. Okay, over and out. Thank you for watching.